everybody, this is Dwight Show with the OppositeForceParkour. How's everybody doing? We're going to have quite a few things to touch on today before we actually get to our tutorial, which is going to be the dive Kong. And no, it's not Tuesday, but it's cool because we're going to knock this out. Actually, before we get started with all of the things that we're going to talk about today, I want to dedicate the dive Kong to the guys with Parkour Macaria over in Algeria. You guys are absolutely awesome. The first one of you that nails the dive Kong after this tutorial comes out, I want you to film it and send it to me so that I can put my hands akimbo and know that I did something good. But yes, this is going to be the dive Kong tutorial. But before we get into that, it is July 1st. Okay, and right now I think we're hovering at like 30 subscribers or something like that. So my goal for July is to just completely blow past 100 subscribers. I want like 115 or maybe even 120 by the end of July, so that I know that we actually got 100 subscribers throughout the month. But I'm gonna need all of your help, all of my friends, family, fans, because you guys are absolutely awesome. I know I don't have a ton of subscribers yet, but you guys are absolutely fantastic. But I do need your help. I just need you to be share crazy. Like everybody you know that does parkour, you know, beginner, intermediate, it doesn't matter. Just share your butt off so they can see everything that we're putting out. And that will really help. That'll be awesome. Alright, so there's a couple more things that we're going to have to touch on before we actually get to the tutorial. First one is I want to say hello to Solomon Durham. He is from Ypsilanti, Michigan. I am from Detroit, Michigan. So, you know, I just wanted to say hello. Solomon has a channel on YouTube as well. It's actually just named Freerunner Solomon. And so I want all of you guys, if you're already subscribe to him, that's awesome, but I am subscriber 92 on his channel and he wants to get to 100 as well, so we're going to help him get to 100. So if you are not subscribed to Freerunner Solomon, I'm going to leave a little box like down here or something, and you guys can click on that and you can go to his channel and you can subscribe. Dude's only 13, but he's got some serious skills and his videos are pretty cool, so I think you guys are really going to like that. As you can see, this is going to be the first obstacle we're going to use for our dive Kong. Now, before we really get started with the dive Kong, I want you guys to know the dive Kong is very similar to the Kong, because it's a Kong. So that's going to be the prerequisite for the dive Kong, is going to be knowing your Kong. Having perfected your Kong will make the dive Kong a little bit easier because you'll understand all of the subtle nuances of the Kong in itself. But we're going to put the Kong right here. It's going to be there for a little while. You guys can click on that. You can, you know, learn about the Kong, study up on it a little bit, and hopefully that will help you guys out. A standard dive Kong, and that is going to be what I like to call the depth dive Kong. Alright? And that is actually going to be over the length of the picnic table. It's not the biggest dive Kong in the world, but for some of you guys, a picnic table will be a very likely obstacle for you to do your dive Kongs on. So it'll be really nice for you to see one done on a picnic table so that you can pick it up. Now, our second dive Kong is going to be what I call open space dive Kongs. Those are when you're going to jump over one obstacle in an attempt to Kong a second obstacle. Now, those are a little bit scarier. So that's actually going to be last. It's going to be after you've worked on your dive Kong over depth. And once you've knocked it down a little bit, then you can go into that empty space dive Kong, those really big dive Kongs. Getting into that, we're going to talk about the approach. We're going to talk about the dive itself, the commitment, and the ejection. If you have watched the Kong vault tutorial, which you should, so here's your second chance. It's going to be right there. Watch it. Go on. Last chance. Alright, click it. Done. It's gone. If you know anything about the way that I train my Kong vault, I train the Kong in 4 separate sections as opposed to 3. The run up and approach, the dive itself, and then the hand placement and what I call the swing through are 3. And then the fourth step of the Kong, of course, is the ejection and then the run out. Now, our run up is going to be a split step takeoff, standard run into a split step takeoff. And your landing is also going to want to deal with punching into our Kong. You're going to lose a ton of momentum, and that's definitely not going to work with a dive Kong over an extended
with the dive Kong
depth.
is actually very similar to the standard Kong. A lot of people are afraid of it because they're worried they're going to clip their feet, clip their shins, you know, shear off a kneecap or something like that. So what I want you guys to do with your dive Kongs is to practice them consistently. Okay, practice them often. That's going to be the only way that you're going to be able to ensure that you are comfortable with the dive Kong. Dive Kong is all about consistency and comfort. You know, a lot of you guys out there that have already nailed your Kong can probably do a dive Kong, but you might be afraid of actually committing to it. So I'm going to show you guys some progressions that you can use to make sure that fear will just melt
The work on
away.
is going to be sort of monkeying up into the middle of the table, and we're going to work our way down. So let's monkey into the middle of the table. I'm going to dive with my hands, and once I place my hands, I'm going to get my shoulders down to place my hands. And then once I've placed my hands, I'm going to roll my hips and feet down under me and come into a crouch position. So let's do some of these monkeys into the middle of the table. Now, you're going to do the second half. So that means you're going to find where you comfortably land in your monkey. Don't stress it. Don't overdo it. Find where you comfortably land on the picnic table or whatever you're diving over. And I want you to stand in that spot. All right? And then you're going to dive to the edge of the table. You're going to plant your hands. I want you guys to kick your heels up. You want to get into that position where you're in a 45-degree angle. And then you're going to swing those legs down and vault over the edge of the table. So I'm going to show you what those look like. All right, so those are a couple monkeys to the edge of the table. Next thing I want you to do is throw the monkey off the edge of the table and run out of it. Okay, we were landing with a punch. That's just for comfort, to stop ourselves. But now I want you guys to come up, get your hips up high, swing them down as if you would be doing a Kong, eject from the obstacle, and exit in a split step. That's what I want you guys to do. Practice those so that they become comfortable. Next thing I want you to do is combine all of it. Okay? So I want you to monkey up to the middle of the table or monkey up to the middle of the obstacle. Then I want you to monkey through to the end and exit out in your split step. That should really help you guys start opening up so you can alleviate some of that fear.
There's not one set type of obstacle grouping that you're going to find. So I want you guys to remember that while you're training, is that you're not always going to be fortunate enough to come across the perfect two sets of walls where one wall's right here, the other wall is right here, and they're exactly the same height, the perfect distance apart. You're going to have to learn to acclimate to your
The run up
surroundings.
for this Kong is not ideal.
I actually did that on purpose. I could have set up the obstacles in a different way. We could have used gargantuan, the big box. Okay, so we could have set up things in a different way, but I actually want you guys to know what it's like, or to have an understanding of the idea of not always having things exactly the way that you want them to be. Because when you go out into the world, they won't. So this run up into this dive Kong is actually a little uncomfortable, and I left it that way so that you can see what it's like for me to have to acclimate to this slight turn that I have to use to get myself into the proper position. That's about it, guys. That's your dive Kong. Most important thing, remember that your run up changes. Okay, you're going to have to load a little heavier. That also means running the risk of getting a little bit closer to the first obstacle. Okay, whenever you're talking about gaps, the most important thing is clearing that first obstacle. Work on it. Make your progressions, overcome your fear. Do not go throwing dive Kongs over gaps that you're not ready for. The reason why I personally think that Kongs over depth, steady depth, picnic tables, things like that, why those have less fear is because if you do crash and burn, you have two choices. You crash on top of the table, which might not be that bad if either you've been practicing ukemi, the art of falling, or if your conditioning level is really high, you take a spill, you're hurt for 3 days, okay? Or you're doing one over grass, which please practice them over grass if you can. Like I said, picnic tables at parks are great. And then you dive roll at the end if you just completely overshoot the obstacle. Best way to overcome the fear, which this video is mostly about overcoming the fear of getting the body into that full dive position, going into that hollow back and then kicking up into that 45-degree angle, and then trusting in yourself to plant those hands and ride that Kong out. That's actually the secret. It's about trust. So make sure that you're consistent. I'll be consistent, you guys be consistent, and we can hold one another accountable. So I want you guys to film your dive Kongs, you know, film the progressions for your dive Kongs, all right? And send them to me. You know, send them to me on Facebook, find me on Messenger, find my email. I'll type it like right down here. I really don't mind if you guys are sending me your videos. And actually, you can do that for the whole month. For the whole month of July, I want you guys sending me videos of your progress, send me videos of your workouts, your pull-ups, your push-ups, your box jumps, whatever you're working on. I want to know how hard you guys are working so that I can work even harder to get all of you into shape. All right? So make sure you like that. Sharing is sharing. All right? Month of July, we want to hit those 100 subscribers. Make sure you check out Freerunner Solomon's channel. There's going to be a link to that in the description as well. He's on 92 subscribers, trying to hit 100 as well. We want parkour to grow everywhere, so we don't want to be selfish. So check that guy out. He's got some cool stuff. Stay safe, you know, and that's it. So again, I'm Dwight Shelby from the Opposite Force Parkour. Play safe, train safe, and go out and tackle those dive Kongs. Later. We always talk about stretching, right? Make sure you stretch, right? There's gonna be a little thing right here in front of my face about stretching, right? Go stretch. Now.